Hello, everybody. Just sitting here hanging out. Hello. Oh my gosh, I don't know why it still says that, but for the love of Pete. All right, everybody, you're going to go over to tbrandonross.com. See all sorts of kind of cool stuff. Sign up for your. I got a few slots left for readings between here and the end of the summer. It has been a heck of a time this summer, huh? I've been all over the place. Those of you that follow me over there on the YouTube channel, you can see me going to shows, going to concerts, hanging out with Wolfgang Van Halen. Hell of a show. If you don't know his work, you should. Oh, I see a few of you coming on there. Oh, look at this. Look at this. How we doing, everybody? So, I don't know. We're getting rumors of ex-presidents dying. We're getting rumors of, we have people stepping down. We have people stepping away. We have problems with our democratic system because it's being circumvented on both sides now. The Simpsons with Kamala. Oh, nice. I did not see The Simpsons with Kamala wearing purple. Isn't that the one where Lisa is the vice president? Or she's the president? My gosh. Simpsons have been around like 30-something years, guys. It's a treasure trove of stuff. Anyways, hope you guys are doing well tonight. We're having fun. We're going to do a couple of shuffle up and heels here. Get your entry in. Let's talk about it. Astrologically, this is what you get when Mars moves into Gemini. Yeah, there we go. No. Hey, how are you, Judith? How are you? Yeah, Ann, it could be. Aaron, good to see you as well. It's a funny thing. It's a funny thing, this political game. You guys do know that, we're no longer in charge, right? You know that they're just going to do what they're going to do. They're like a crazy, wacky corporation that just does what they're going to do. They don't really care about anything. Hi, Connie, how are you? And what they're really kind of projecting and promoting is just their own demagoguery. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. So we'll just kind of politely say, okay, guys, fantastic. There are threats on both sides. There are arguments on both sides. Project 2025 should scare the crap out of you. It is fresh out of an Ayn Rand novel. If you're not familiar with The Fountainhead, you should refresh. Atlas Shrugged, another work by her. And in a nutshell, in a gist of it, it is really kind of about how it enters a thought process called objectionism, which basically should be, it is the most anti-conscious thing ever. But there is one element of it that is actually very much the hallmark of where we're going with the Age of Aquarius, because there is that self-responsibility. There is that self-responsibility. But, if you read the finer points of Ayn Rand and kind of her political view, she was actually pro-choice. And she was kind of quasi-capitalist government because she needed to kind of understand, or she wanted you to understand, that whatever you were going to do still had a greater good component to it. So whenever the Republicans kind of spout off on that, just be careful, because there really is a totalitarian argument there, and that you could justify any bad notion because the end justifies the means. Basically, your behavior will justify where you want to go with it. So it's funny because you're kind of in this position where we're still, it's going so fast and furious, isn't it, guys? So Mars moving into Gemini gives it this kind of shift in duality. And by the way, that doesn't mean that it's equal. It just means that it's very cagey. The mutables, man. The mutable signs: Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo even. Virgos tend to be a little bit like, hey, we're going to go ahead and do this with or without you. Pisces are kind of like, well, I thought that's what you wanted to do. Sagittarius are like, I thought it was a butterfly and I was chasing it. And Geminis are like, I didn't know it was your husband. So there's a little bit of a different pace here, right? A little bit of a different pace. A little bit of a different feel all the way around it. And I think we have to recognize that as conscious beings, we have to approach this from the standpoint of how to be instead of objectionism, which by the way eliminates external forces. That's what objectionism is. Like, in other words, I am the object. I am the main story. I am the main character of my story, not you. It doesn't really matter what your feelings are. And it really kind of speaks to a very kind of conservative, and by the way, that wasn't the conservatism that I grew up in. That wasn't the conservatism most Republicans or most conservative people, libertarians even, which was probably my political view up until this latest presidency. I am definitely left of center now for the sole reason of free choice. And that doesn't mean that anything is good by any stretch of the imagination, but I am pro free choice, free will. And again, you can make the argument about whether or not, the argument isn't whether or not what that choice is, whether, it is allowed or not allowed. The fact that you're taking away somebody's ability to dictate their own ship is the problem, guys. So when we do these shuffle up and heels, this is about, like, where are you at here? What's your gut check? How are you feeling about things? How are you feeling about the progress of things for yourself? Because we are getting into the age of Aquarius. Like, we're right there. Hey, Paul, how are you? And it's about, Connie, how you doing? I think I said hi. And what are you doing to figure out your own compass? Because that's really what this is coming down to. It is about the individual. They've showed us they can't lead us in any capacity, in any party. Like, they just flat out say, nah, not really. No, it's this one and that one. Nope. Nope, well, you can't do this because of whatever. We have gotten to a point where we are no longer validly discussing topics and debating points. We are now just basically saying the other side sucks. That is basically our political climate. That's not a choice, guys. The first thing they did was take away our choice to be able to say, like, hey, how you doing? We have two shitty choices and you're going to make them. And then they replace it and they're like, okay, well, this one's better. And, whether you believe in whether it's better or not doesn't matter. The fact that they're like, yeah, we're just going to kind of swap this out. And you're like, but hey, I didn't get a choice in that. Right? Hey, Mary, how are you? So it ends up being a conversation where that's our struggle, man. As conscious beings, as light workers, as people that are connecting the dots on a continuous basis, none of this passes the smell test. Not an ounce of this passes the smell test. None of it does. None of it does. Just doesn't. I'm glad everybody's safe today, though. I'm glad Jimmy Carter's here for another day. Did you see that hoax? I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. By the way, I have a really cool Rosalind Carter video out from it was when she passed, so I think it was like last November, maybe. October, November, December, somewhere in that frame. Could have even been January. I don't remember when she passed, but there was a lot of comparison in there for Jimmy Carter and why they were so good together. I can go political on it. The two of them were like a powerhouse, and they complemented one another. And I think when Jimmy Carter made a mistake, Rosalind said, hey, we made a mistake. Hey, can you imagine that being paired with somebody that says, you did something wrong, but we're going to take the heat for it? Imagine that. Imagine that. By the way, those relationships are over. We don't exist in a world like that anymore. We just don't. No matter how much you legislate, no matter how much you say, hey, we need to look out for each other, or hey, wouldn't it be great for whatever? It just doesn't exist. What you can do is figure out how to complement one another and have strengths and balance weaknesses and that sort of thing. That's the modern day relationship now. And, you're good for, 10 to 20 years, give or take, if you're good at it. And that's just the modern day. It's just the modern day, man. It's the way we're kind of rocking it. So what do you guys say we do some cards? I mean, listen, I'm enjoying the new studio. I don't know how you guys are. And at first you're kind of like, Brandon, nothing really changed. Oh, it's changed. We got some hard wires coming in so that we can do some other camera angles. We've got some sound drops. Give me a little bit of time. By the end of this, I'm going to take it the whole summer, man. I'm going to make sure it go good. This goes good. Oh, look at the two of us here. Yeah, we're gonna get a tighter shot. Yeah, I kind of like that. I wish I could go wide on this one and then tight on me. Yeah, I could probably reposition it, but I am the main character, so we're going to stay here. Some of you just went, oh, yeah. Anyway, so listen, I know some of you guys need some ratings, but we're going to start out by taking a look at what is this current presidential situation. Biden dropping out, I think, was a very key thing for us to kind of move forward. Again, we have our Pluto in retrograde. It is edging back towards Capricorn right now, and that means that we're doing a review of where and what our financial values are, what our power base is as a group. It is, to have your Pluto return. And again, it doesn't quite get into Pluto return edge, although it kind of does, because I think it was at 24 degrees. Remember when that whole thing kind of went down? Or was it 26 degrees? And this goes back to just like 29.8. Like, it really just kind of goes in for about a month and a half, and then it comes back out of it. And Pluto's such a slow-moving planet because it's on the outer rim here. And, the outer rim. I start talking like I'm in Star Wars. Anyways, so let's take a look at what this is going to mean. Let's do our first, shuffle up here for, what does this mean for Biden? I mean, Biden as a whole. And then we'll pull out one for Kamala, and then we'll pull out one for Trump. I mean, we are equal opportunities here. All right, first one out of the gate. Oh, gosh, yeah, you know what? There you are. There you are, Mr. President. What a pain in the ass this is. All right, this is him carrying burden. This is him kind of like looking at this and going, you know what? This is rough, man. This is a rough day. It's a bad day for you. Right? This is a lot of burden. Where are we going to next? We're going out to pasture is what we're doing. This is where he's okay with it. A lot of people are like, oh, it was a coup and, all that other jazz. But I got to tell you, I think he's okay with it. Because when the Six of Cups comes out, this is very much him. This is his legacy. He's created something. Is that kind of a little bit of a boost for the Democrats and maybe Kamala? Possibly. I mean, after all, this is kind of the child of the scenario. This is kind of the new beginning. So this is kind of this. I mean, let's be honest. What Joe Biden did, whether you think it was a coup, whether you think it was whatever, stepping aside and basically saying I'm not it anymore is the most important thing. I saw Sammy Hagar last night. He is 76 years old. He is a month and a half, almost 2 full months older than my dad. And he brought the house down. He hit a few flats. Okay. He's been a touring musician for 60 years, give or take. Remember that song, Bad Motor Scooter? Yeah, that was him, right? Yeah, Montrose, go look it up. And he deserves to kind of like go out in whatever graceful fashion it is. We're going to let him hit a few rough notes. He's got a hell of a guitarist. Although I have to tell you, Eddie versus Joe Satriani, Eddie Van Halen versus Joe Satriani. Joe Satriani is technically a better guitarist than Eddie Van Halen, but Eddie Van Halen had such feel that Joe can't find that. And he never will, and that's okay. That's okay. So that's my kind of review of the night. It was great to hear every kind of cool song that he ever did. But back to the chart here, we've got Joe Biden's read. The burden's been lifted. We've got a new beginning. Oh, yeah. Ooh. There's a little bit of being cut out here. Joe Biden's going to ride off into the sunset. Yeah, Kathy, I'm glad you were there. And by the way, I really love it when people come up to me and go, hey, you're Brandon. And I'm like, hi, how are you? Oh, yeah, I follow you. And I'm like, that is so cool. Thank you. It's at the concert the previous night at Mammoth. And oh, by the way, I was at the Baseball Hall of Fame on Sunday afternoon. I was at a concert on Sunday night. I was at a concert last night. My schedule is full, everybody. But I was at Mammoth, who is Eddie Van Halen's son. And I had somebody come up to me, total shout out. And they led with, hey, I know you. Hey, I follow you on the channel. I go, oh, that's really cool. Thank you so much. And then she was like, all right, see you around. And she left. And I was like, she just wanted to say hi? What is that? That was so cool. It was just cool. Anyways, yeah, Kathy, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. So back to the read here. Burden. New beginning. Ace of Swords comes out. This is a little bit of a... I'm going to be a little negative Nelly here in all of this and say it could be an out strategy. It could be his way of kind of stepping out. Could be his way of saying, you know what, I'm going to be able to like go out of here and not be a part of it. Right? All right, here we go. How about some, we got the Two of Wands. You know, guys, as much as people are talking about, you know, that he was talked into it and this faction wanted him to go and the other faction didn't want him to go. This Two of Wands tells me it was still his decision. I think he had a conversation with family. I think he had a conversation with the Democratic Committee. I think he had a conversation with Kamala. I still don't know how they got to, here's Kamala. I do, however, think that I don't think he's really doing anything anymore as president. I've got to be honest with you. I do not think he is in capacity to do anything. I think COVID is kind of the latest thing of what we're doing. And, okay, maybe this will give him some longevity because here comes the Wheel of Fortune. So this was kind of predestined. You know, there is some destiny to this for him to be able to kind of like step out into this, right? So this gives him the opportunity to be like, hey, I'm accepting my role here. And again, step into Leo energy. There it is, fixed energy. By the way, here is a Sagittarius card. By the way, here is an Aries card. By the way, here is a Leo card. And then you have a very kind of cool and combustible Cancer card. So if you want to look at this as timing, this decision was made probably right around the 4th of July that he wasn't going to be there. If you're following the cards, he was out. He was out. Just to let you know. So sometime about a week after the debate, not so much, right? How do you feel about this one now, huh? So good, so good. All right, now where are we going here? Oh, geez Louise. Now he's got the Fool card. By the way, tricky little Uranus kind of played its role in this. Is this the end for Joe Biden? Listen, we don't put people in the ground around here. We don't do it. We don't do it. We don't need the business. But this is Uranus with the Ace of Swords. Could he pass in October? I don't know. You got air sign. You know, you've also got Mars in Gemini. You know, you've got to remember that him with so many Scorpio placements, he is going to act hard not only on the water side of it, but also on the air and the disruption signs of it. So you got to pay attention to what Mars is doing, ruled by Scorpio. You've got to be able to, you know, secondarily ruled by Mars, Scorpio. It is an Aries first and foremost. But in that idea, though, you've got Pluto. You got Pluto doing its Pluto thing, right? It's still in Aquarius. I don't know. I don't see it as a bad thing. I think this is him stepping into it, right? I think this is him kind of going like, hey, let's go do this, right? You know, and this is Star Ancestors. This is about hidden secrets, freaking Scorpios, lost wisdom, and looking a little deeper. I think we're going to hear the rest of the story eventually. You know, guys, I mean, just like the Trump assassination attempt, which is sketchy as hell, guys. Come on. Maxi pads in your ear? What the fuck? Like, what? What? And now all of a sudden he takes it off and you're kind of like it's just a flesh wound. Oh, I've got another. The man's never been punched in the face. I'm pretty sure if he got shot, he would go down like a baby. Like, you know, and it's funny, if you ever watch Shane Gillis, and it was on the podcast, when Lindsay and I were talking about it, and we were talking about like the low-hanging fruit that Shane Gillis sometimes talks about, and he's got this incredibly inappropriate but timely sketch. Type in Shane Gillis Trump shot. It's like 4 years old, and what's funny about it is he basically is like trying to react how Trump would react if he got shot. He's the psychic, man. He's the psychic. listen to that bit if you want to hear a funny thing, and shout out to Shane on that one. But yeah, star ancestors. I mean, this is kind of a divine right type of thing. This tells me that there's a lot of stuff here that was planned, both cosmically as well as in our backyard. There's really no reason to think that like the people in charge are really in charge. Just to let you know, with this kind of spread, with this kind of layout. So what's how's Kamala gonna do? I mean, let's pull out those cards, right? I mean, I think when you take a look at this, yeah, I mean, it's bully energy. It's what he does. I mean, it's why he appeals to people. You know, it's the people that support him are tired of it. You know, are tired of things, so they want somebody to bully you. They want to. I mean, if you ever were picked on as a kid, and you had somebody defend you, you got behind that person, even if they were flawed, even if they were jerks, even if they were using methods that weren't okay. And the people that support him tend to feel like they were screwed, tend to feel like they were put out to pasture, tend to feel like they were not, you know, part of it. You know, and again, well, I think you guys are going to see where I'm going with this. I see one of your conversations out there, Kathy. Let me bring that up here in a second, because I want to get to some cards for Kamala. Cards for Kamala. How about that? Sounds like a fundraiser. Which, by the way, how great is that she like fundraised the shit out of that? She didn't sell any sneakers, everybody. And again, I don't know how I feel about her politically yet, to be honest with you. But I will tell you, some 4 short years ago, I talked about Kamala Harris being president before the end of the term. Do I get half credit? Well, here you go. Here's your battle tested. Those of you that think she's underqualified, according to the cards, she's kind of got it. The 7 of Wands comes out because you have sought the higher ground, and oh, by the way, you are in charge of this. This is battle torn. This is being able to say like, no, you're not going to rope me into that horse hockey. By the way, one of the things of any compromised politician is how much they get sucked into the compromise. So if this is a symbolism of what we have to look forward to, it might be her not being part of that, right? And by the way, the fact that she dated the mayor of a city and then decided to go off and do whatever, I honor that shit, man. Like, she did not sleep with somebody to get ahead. You can't do that. It just, you know, and by the way, I love the fact that this is laying out the prosecutor against the convict. I mean, what better way to show law and order versus whatever, right? And listen, according to this, she's off on the correct foot, right? She's going to be able to draw this in a way that she's going to show this. When you get the 7 of Wands, this means that you have been through it. So, you know, and again, a lot of the criticism is that she hasn't really had responsibility, right? Remember the movie Dave? Let me go back to this for a second. Remember the movie Dave? I'm going to talk about this for a second. When they replaced the president with a lookalike, and remember he's in like that robotic thing, and he goes, I once had a fish this big, and he was like joking around, and he was kind of like, you know, making it to be like, oh my gosh, there's going to be like a way to, there's just going to be a way to kind of like present another person that's a lookalike, right? And sorry about that. And there's a way in which we have to accept the fact that that's kind of what's going on right now. That's kind of what's going on right now. We kind of have a replacement president right now. And by the way, you know, it's, for all intents and purposes, it is. And listen, by and large, I know my target audience. I know that it is women that are scared shitless of missing the opportunity to be able to make a choice and being told what to do as a tyrant. Project 2025 should scare the shit out of you. It should absolutely scare the shit out of you. It scares the shit out of me, and I have a penis. Wait, I probably shouldn't say it like that. It scares the shit out of me because it is so anti-free will that it will disrupt our progress as humans. Like, we're teetering as it is. This will make it too sideways heavy, right? You know, sometimes when I sit with somebody that has had to make a choice, there is shame attached to it. There is a loss attached to it. It is the shame of judgment. It is the shame of societal what have you. And now to make it criminal. Once upon a time, my Catholic self growing up with us, one of the things that I take a lot of pride in is looking at it and understanding it as is. My 20-year-old self was very judgmental to people that were divorced, people that had made choices for whatever reason. I was judging them. I was judging them morally. I was judging them non-constructly. And it was a struggle, and I started to realize that the struggle was like a fallacy. What did my opinion matter to their decisions in life? With who they are, with who they are as a person. And then as I developed as a medium, I began to see the purpose. Uh-oh. Project 2025 takes away the free will and takes away the idea that maybe that decision might be the most difficult thing. By the way, I've also met as many people that made a choice to not terminate. And by the way, not one person is above the other in this conversation, guys. This is not a judgment conversation. But I'm here to tell you that when people would make that choice as well, they show it to me both ways, man. Both ways. My mother was this, god-awful, terrible person, and she did this, and this, and that. And then I said, but did you realize that she sat in a parking lot, cried her freaking eyes out, and didn't go in the building and drove home instead? Project 2025 takes that away and forces everything to not be a choice, but rather a forced obligation. And by the way, the long-term social engineering that's going on is so that then they can create communes and right-wing kind of think tanks, or at least Christian think tanks, not even right-wing. By the way, politics are done. We're no longer right or left-wing. We're just not. You're either going to be religious or not religious. Those are the two political parties now. You're either going to be religious or secular. Oh, by the way, it sounds like Iran, because it is. Right? And when I saw things as a medium, I started to realize that I wanted people that had been through it. I wanted people that could look at the bright side of life. I wanted people that could be able to recognize this is where you break the rules. Right? I used to say this all the time. I'd say, okay, everybody, tell me the rules so I know when to break them. And by the way, I'm not a fastidious rule breaker, but I'll break a rule if I need to. I'll break a rule when it comes to somebody coming in going, I'll never forget, I got in trouble once. I worked at a famous bagel place, which is now bankrupt. I might have been the problem. And if you read the book, you know it. My bagel stories in there. And there was somebody that came in, and he got the same thing every day. He got a buttered onion bagel. He had to scoop the onions out and put more onions on it. Right? And then he'd get a large Diet Coke with no ice. Every time. By the way, it would ring up to be 12. It would be $2.12. Every single day. And the guy would come in with change. And guess what? One day he only had like $2. And the other supervisor was like, do you got 12 cents? And I go, I don't have 12 cents. I go, you're fine, dude. You're here 3 days a week. You get the same thing. You're part of the family here, no problem. That's your drawer. That's your drawer. You're going to get written up. You are going to get written up. And I'm just like, oh my God, he was one of those guys. He was like Serpico with a fucking name badge. And I said, I'll take my lumps. I'll take my lumps. So at the end of the night, it ends up being like 80 cents off. And he goes, this is unacceptable. And I said, well, it says within $2. Like pennies drop, blah, 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 whatever. Next day, I get this write-up notice from the manager. And they said, yeah, well, they have the power to write you up. I go, the power to write me up? I'm like, oh, okay. And I go, well, I have the power not to sign it. Well, then we have to fire you. You're going to fire me over 12 cents? I'm here at 4:30 in the morning flipping bagels for you. I come in... I may or may not have always been a medium, and I may or may not have been seeing concerts during that time. And during that time, I may have once or twice driven directly from Saratoga Winners to open up a bagel shop. I may have done that once or twice in my time. I may have ridden in the back of a state trooper car because I would offer them free coffee. I don't know. Always been a friend. What I think is interesting was that this person, I said, well, I'd like to have a formal meeting. And I would like the regional manager there. And we're like, well, that's not really appropriate. I go, neither's writing me up for 12 cents, but I'd like the regional manager, who, by the way, I taught how to do this. You know, as a wiseacre 17-year-old. And they said, Brandon, you're really good at baking. We'd like you to teach the new regional manager. You got it. Rick and I were like, yes. I used to call him the Ricker. And he goes, well, I don't really know. You know what? I got him on speed dial. I'm going to go ahead and give him a call. Right? So I give him a call and I say, hey, Ricker, I've been written up. He goes, that's bullshit. What did you get written up for? I go, 12 cents. I go, remember that guy that comes in and gets the bagel? He goes, you're kidding, right? I go, no. I go, it's, you know, whatever. We're sitting there in the middle of the lobby. It was a Monday afternoon, and it was on my day off. And when I came in, I said, are you guys going to ask me anything about work? And they said, well, yeah, why don't you have a seat? And I go, I'll be right back. I go in the back and I punched in. Remember that part where I said I can be an asshole? By the way, Leo season, Leo rising. So I punch in. And at the end of it, I go, yeah, you know, let's talk about this. And by the end of it, the gist of the whole thing was this guy needed better discernment. He wasn't wrong. He was following the rules, but they complimented me for having decision making because I valued the client more than whatever. 12 cents, everybody. 12 cents. And by the way, that store at the time was like an $18 million store. 12 cents. And at the end of it, I said, hey, this has been great. We're all done. I walk him back and I punched out. I said, I'll see you guys later. And they said, wait, you weren't approved for hours. I said, you just had a work discussion with me. And I punched in and I punched out. My time's valuable. And I started to realize that when you push back on people that thought that they could just take advantage of you, then all of a sudden it was a problem when they had to pay out of pocket. Kind of a good day, right? Anyways, I love that story. Hey, everybody, I see we got a few more people in here. The spiritual count. Yeah, guys, Project 2020 is going to circle mediums and say, get out of Dodge. Just to let you know. Like it's kind of written in, it's written in between it. Let's go back to the board. So let's recap. Kamala, thank you very much. 7 of Wands. She's kind of been there, done that. And by the way, the Sun card comes out. Are you kidding me? The Sun card comes out right here because every little thing is going to be all right. Now, at a minimum, it's about vitality. It's about being able to say, like, hey, we're going to shed light on some things. And by the way, the Sun card is the Leo card, so welcome to the age of Leo. Welcome to Leo season. Might as well get this one out here. Oh, and by the way, this is also a Leo card as well. The plot thickens. Let's see what else we can pull here. And then, well, we've got a little destiny going on here, kids. Wow. Star card comes out because there is destiny connected to this. There is a divine right here. There is divinity. There is a purpose. By the way, also fixed energy. Fixed energy, fixed energy. This was kind of meant to be, guys. And I think anybody that could rewind and say we'd rather have, first of all, if we could rewind, we should go back to January and actually have what is called a democratic process. That would be good, don't you think? We don't live in a democracy anymore, guys. We live in a triage, create chaos, and then say, well, this is what we're going to do. The towers are down. We have to take away your rights. Oh, can we have your rights back? We've worked so well without giving you those rights. So maybe this was kind of a predestined thing. And by the way, feminine energy barely an ounce of this. I mean, I know you got a naked woman here, you got a baby here, and think about it. Here's the masculine trait. Here is the nurturing trait. Then here's the feminine divine work here, right? And by the way, the star card is a neutral card. It is the age of Aquarius, by the way. Maybe this presidency will kind of, I don't know. That is if she gets there. Come on, guys. Get out and vote. It's a thing. It is a thing. All right. Let's see where the let's see what we get answer. Ooh, we get the 6 of Swords. This has been a journey. Hasn't been an easy one. And when you look at her prospects, you look at her development, you look at like the things that she's been exposed to, I also would be a little critical. I mean, he basically said, you know, Biden to Kamala Harris as a vice president has literally been that scene in Christmas Vacation where he pulls out the whole ball, that big giant ball of imported Italian Christmas lights, and hands it to Rusty. Kamala Harris is Rusty. Here, Rusty, go figure this out. And she's like, what the fuck? What? What? I don't think she was utilized correctly. So I think that this is part of what the journey has been. So I think in some cases we're missing some of the, you know, some of the debate, if you will. You know, we're missing some of the influx that could be there, right? Yeah, we'll have, and by the way, I do have Kamala's chart out there. I should probably do a refresher here. Oh, come on. The Empress shows up. Ladies, it's just us girls here. Can we pay attention to what in the heck fire is going on here? Feminine energy with the sun? Are you kidding me? Can we just point out the stuff on the surface? Can we point out that a black woman that is a legal JD? I mean, come on. By the way, this is also a very judicious ruling. This is judicious. This is balancing feminine energy. Maybe this is what we've needed the whole time. By the way, all fallen empires have two things in common. They have the arc. They have the arc of, hey, we're great. Aren't we the greatest? And then they have the demise, led by greed, led by misdirection, led by corruption. By the way, every single one of those were led by men. Just saying. I mean, the moon's had 12 men on it. All of them have been white U.S. men. We didn't mix that shit up at all. Anyways. All right, let's see where the star's going to go here. Can't make that up. By the way, that's called getting it. That's called getting the nuts on the river. Okay, can we kind of do that a little bit? If I can go ahead and pull in some poker terms, if I'm going to call it shuffle up and heel. 10 of Cups comes out over the star. Dare I say, every little thing is going to be all right now. Wow, that's kind of crazy. You cannot make this shit up, guys. By the way, I shuffled the crap out of these. I dropped some of them on the floor. Like, I did a good job this time. And remember last time I was like, oh, look at this, it's the 4 of Wands. Oh, look at this, it's the 5 of Wands. This is about an empowered person that will look at the bright side. And by the way, this is a mixed family too, by the way, guys. One of the kind of undertows of, first of all, the 10 of Cups is very much about happiness. It's a happy ending. It's it's an abundance card. It's a card of unity. It is also about a mixed family. It is about a mixed family, and she's married to a white dude. That's a mixed family. Can't make this shit up, guys. You just can't make this shit up. All right, baby steps. Now you know what that means. Got to take it slow. Got to take it slow. Will racism ever end in the United States? Can we ask ourselves that? First of all, why are we hung up on racism? Why are we hung up on our plumbing? Why are we hung up on anything aside from... God, we've got so much growing to do. And we have to do it to the lowest common denominator. And let me say this. This is my interpretation of this read. With baby steps, it is action. Follow your intuition and make sense. I will trust the intuition of a woman before I follow the intuition of a self-made man. Self-made man. It's just kind of where I'm at there. Still not being political, just saying what my preferences are. But we've got this challenge. We've got this really kind of... I'm so grateful for the places that I visited. And one of the things that I recognized in Memphis was how much I watched white people feel guilty because I read people for a living. They felt guilty in the Civil Rights Museum. And I remember turning to someone. You know how like sometimes when you're in a museum, you cross paths with somebody, or you got to step around them a few times. And by like the third or fourth time, you start saying, "Hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Hey, wow, oh, this is interesting, blah, blah, blah." And then, sure enough, I saw this woman at if you've ever been to the Memphis airport, they have these, they're set up like most airports now, but they have this like, this bar like in between like the 5 gates that are whatever. Like they're really all about like how much alcohol or how much pulled pork can we get into you before you leave, which I'm like, hey, when in Rome. So I'm sitting there, and the woman who I was kind of playing the, eye contact tag with ends up sitting there as well. And I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" I go, "I guess we're supposed to like run into each other all day." And she starts laughing. She goes, "Yeah." And they, okay, Dad, I won't run into them with a wheelchair. I only did that once. And we still made it to the induction ceremony, might I add. But we had right away. Anyways, inside joke for my dad. So I joked around with her. I go, "Oh my gosh, we're going to run into each other all day." And she starts laughing. She goes, "Yeah." And I go, "What did you think of the museum?" And she got tears in her eyes. She goes, "How did I not know half of this stuff? How did I not know how bad it was in this country for someone that didn't have the same skin color as me?" And we were sitting there, and part of it was kind of like a guilt thing, like a weight guilt thing. But it was the same pressure and feel that I had in this. I mean, this was like people acting the most inhumane way to a group of people. And by the way, if any of you feel that that's an okay thing, please, you wouldn't have made it this long in this conversation. You'd have been like, "Oh, here's another snowflake loving up on interracial blah, 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 blah." No, I don't see them as skin color. Which, by the way, is the threat. The threat then becomes a conversation about whether or not we can accept ourselves for where we're at, including our mistakes. I mean, I didn't create that. I never told Rosa Parks she couldn't sit down. I never did those things. So many of us have such a hard time figuring out where we land on it and why we're like in trouble and why it makes us feel uncomfortable. What you're really seeing isn't hate, it's fear. They're afraid of what it could mean. By the way, if you had Donald Trump's father, you would understand why. You would understand how you were told at a young age that they were lesser than you. Same goes for women. So to have a black woman running against him, here's your card spread, bitch. By the way, Donald Trump is the bitch in that comment. Just letting you know. Good luck with this. What are you going to do? Take a swing at her for her being a legal mind? You're going to rip her record. By the way, it is a fallacy that she locked up all of these people, all of these black men for marijuana use. She locked up 45 people for marijuana distribution because they rose to the level of distribution, not use. That is a fallacy. 100% a fallacy, guys. But listen, they'll let you know, "Oh, she put so many people away and blah, 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 blah." Good. She can prosecute the law. Looks like trouble in the OK Knipple crowd, right? There ends up being a conversation now where she can delineate it. And by the way, she's not vindictive here, guys. She's seasoned, She's divine in her femininity. And oh, by the way, I hope we see this, guys. And it's not a Kamala presidency that I hope we see. I hope we see the star card get together with the Ten of Cups. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. We are barreling towards the age of Aquarius. I don't know how else. That was a pretty damn good read. I need to make my own video for that. Holy Nikes. My gosh, Kamala Harris. Getting the star card, the sun card, the Empress. Whew. Now, we really should pay attention to Mr. AGT. I'm going to give a great shout out here. Michelle, thanks so much for tuning in. Kathy, yes. Yeah, you know, I mean, we have to understand what power is. Power is not being in charge. Power was that shift supervisor that could have looked at it and said, I understand why you would let them go, Brandon. Right? Jesse, yeah, that could feel good. Elizabeth, how are you? I told a story about your dad the other day. But when I was on the big news program. Oh, hey, Tim, how are you? I see you weighing in. Aaron, yeah, no, that kind of rolled out there that way. Judith, yeah, back to that. Danielle, hello, hi. Barbara, how are you? I see you just kind of tuning in. Oh, Tim, tough talker, huh? Shut up and deal. Fuck you. Hey, Tim, if you're still on here, what are you going to do about it? See, that's the whole thing. We think power dynamic is, you know, watching a, you know the joke where it's like the cop pulls somebody over and then you say, hey, you work for me, right? And then you say, well, you're a public servant. Hey, shouldn't you get me a glass of water? It's that flip of like, we don't have respect for people's positions anymore. I have a unique gift. It allows me to connect with people, to heal. And by the way, I rise to the level of the connection. Sometimes you're ready for healing. Sometimes you're ready for information. Sometimes you're ready for the next step. And sometimes you're ready for me to tell you to go fuck yourself. So when you're able to kind of like see through people, it's a blessing and a curse. And it was a curse because I didn't always understand how to manage it. Now I do. So let's take a look at where Donald Trump is going to land in all of this. Let's give him, the same courtesy we've given everybody else. I do want to say this, though. I want to kind of, come back to this. When we choose to assert our power, we have to recognize we don't put ourselves through the filter of checks and balances. That is what on paper would make the democracy a great thing. The fact that we have checks and balances, we don't have that right now. We have a very bought and paid for Congress. We have a very influenced justices. We have a very on life support presidential executive branch. And it's great theater, guys. It is great theater. But never in the history of ever has a decision that a president has made really kind of influenced the betterment of life. They don't control the gas prices. They control whether we go to war. They control whether or not we spend money in different districts, which, by the way, are backroom deals and conversations and congressmen's and blah, blah, blah. And that's all their game. It's all a game, guys. It's just a fucking game. Do not bury your head in the sand that this game has been taken offline and we don't get the benefit anymore. We don't get the benefit of this. Just to let you know, things are kind of real now. All right, guys, let's head back. Let's do one of these. All right, here we go. All right. Well, Donald Trump, here you are. By the way, I saw a card. This is like the 5th time I've seen a tarot reader turn over the 5 of Cups, which, by the way, is loss. It is recognizing that despite your best effort, you're going to take what you have and run. And oh, by the way, I stand behind everything I've said. Donald Trump left this country. And you're like, what? I didn't see it on the... He was doing his report and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you, he left this country because he sold it. He sold it to Project 2025. You don't think so? Knight of Swords. This is a little bit of desperation. Look at that. Fight, fight. It kind of looks like he just... Does he get shot in the air and stand up and go, fight, fight, fight? Who the fuck does that? You know, I try to not be political, but I just can't stand the jackassery. By the way, every single... The director of the Secret Service had to resign today because of all the gaffes and everything else. The biggest one, and the thing that should never happen, this is why, this just leads into conspiracy theories, guys. It just leads into conspiracy theories. The Secret Service let him stand up and raise his fist in an unsecured location after he'd been shot? What? What? Bunch of bad actors, bitch. Sorry, I called it. Knight of Swords comes out because it's about changing the narrative. It's about change. They're trying to change the thought pattern. And hey, I'm the man. I'm the masculine man. Look at me. Look at me. I got a big sword. Well, maybe it's cut off a little bit at the top and it looks like a mushroom head, but whatever. Whatever. He's got the red cape. He's flashy. All of his shiny shit going on all over the place. Oh my gosh, I am unbiased. I crossed the Rubicon, haven't I? Let's give him one more card. Oh, the Knight of Wands. You want to know what that leads to? That's justice. The Knight of Wands is sacrificed. I don't think you guys really understand what's going on here, do you? He's just a pawn. Literally a pawn in all of this. All right, here we go. Yeah, the Hangman. Look at it from another perspective. So he's going to turn this around and be like, yeah, look at this. You know, this is, you know, this allows people to say this economy is only good. How can you look at the economy right now and say that it is crap? Now, inflation is a little out of control. Inflation is definitely out of control. I paid like $6 for a cheeseburger the other day. $6. In case you're wondering, I am losing weight, and some of it has to do with deflation of Brandon. Thank you very much. The Hangman is not really looking at the reality that he's lost. Just to let you know. Knight of Swords, here we go. Oh, Queen of Pentacles. I'm gonna have to take a look at that. I gotta do a quick little. I had to do a quick little research on this one. $6 is a bargain. Thank you very much. I am gonna look this up here real quick, guys. Bear with me. I hope I'm still intact here. I'm gonna look up. You know, I really should do like a refresher on this, but I'm looking up Kamala's. She's a Libra sun. Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. Which, by the way, is committed to justice. Right? Seeing you in a courtroom. She's got a legal mind. Oh, she's a Gemini rising. Oh. Oh, here's a little interpretation. And by the way, I did this like forever ago. She is conjunct to Mercury, which, by the way, means that she's a good-looking woman. It also means that she is smart, intelligent, and it sits in her 5th house, so she can recreate, man. She can rock and roll. That's, even though it's Libra, it is in the 5th house, which is ruled by Leo. Being a Gemini rising. Gemini rising. Who's a Gemini? Who could there be? Oh, Donald Trump. Oh, yeah. We're gonna do a comparison chart. Don't you worry. But then she's also Pisces in the 10th house, which is interesting to me. Because that is sometimes, you know, well, she's literally doing justice work, right? Cool. Jay, good to see you in Canada. Susan, yes, thank you very much. Barbara, I will look for your note. Thank you. But yeah, as a Libra, this is kind of interesting. This is really interesting to me. All right, let's give him one more card here. I can't. I can't. You know what this is? This is an ego death. This is him not being able to say, I am not. You gotta be shitting me. Here it is, guys. Gets a death card. Him thinking he's doing the right thing, being the sacrificial lamb, it's martyrdom. It's him going, hey, I'm going to be, you know, whatever the case may be. He's getting sucked into this, right? All right, where are we going with this? Inner Earth, you'll survive. New solutions and beginning. This is about change. He's changing. So I stand behind everything I've said about Trump. And I think a lot of people think that I'm anti-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump. I'm anti-assholes. And one of the problems that I've always had with him, that even when he's had a half-brained good idea, and they have been half-brained, and they have been okay ideas. We need to do something about immigration, but we have the exact same problem with immigration now as we had 40 years ago. I remember, what was his name? His wife was it Kemp? No, it wasn't Kemp. It was John something. He was married to the Hines lady. John Kerry. John Kerry made it a point to say he had a 3-tiered process to clean up immigration. And he's standing there and he was adamant about it. He goes, the first thing we need to do is to figure out a process that when you come to the country, you have exactly 90 days to get into the court system. Then we're going to establish X amount of courts along the Arizona, Texas, New York, Miami. You know, we're going to have X amount of courts in each one of them. And then the third thing will be, we will be expedient as to whether or not they will be accepted in the country, including a background check and so forth and so on. And John Kerry, for all of his faults and all of his dipshittery and money behind him and being bought out, actually he's the only person I've ever heard actually address the court system. Illegal immigration is happening because we have such a backlog. It's our problem. On purpose. Have you ever seen a process be broken because they don't want it to work? That's what's going on with immigration, everybody. It gives a certain faction of people to treat immigrants like shit and dehumanize them because that's what they get off on. And then it makes the frustration of people that are compassionate and do care to be like, we're stuck in this system. We're spending all this energy on this. This is the end of a reign, everybody. You have the 5 of Cups, which is loss. You have the Hangman, which is... Isn't that interesting? For the man that wanted to hang as vice president, he gets the Hangman card. Just saying. Just saying. Then you have the Knight of Swords, which, by the way, Kamala, Didn't Joe Biden have the Ace of Swords? So none of these ideas are his. Then the Queen of Pentacles. If you can't figure out what the Queen of Pentacles is on the Knight of Swords here, wow. It's overspending. It's a grift. It's I'm divine in what I do. I'm whatever. And then you have the Knight of Wands. This is overdoing it. And then you get the Death card. It's also Scorpio. Oh, when is the election? November 4th or 7th? What day is it? Vote early and often, everybody. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That was a joke, okay? Quit calling me a libetard. I know you only vote once or twice. Once by mail, once in person, right? Isn't it? I'm just kidding. But I don't really follow the rules anyways, because I know when to break them. Anyways, it's New York. Nobody cares. Then you've got the other idea that the inner earth here comes to it, where this is about new solutions and beginnings. Donald Trump has done his job. He has done his job. He has held up the mirror. He has held up the mirror of the shield to basically say, hey, Medusa, look at how ugly you is. Right? You are no longer really kind of in charge here. And he shows it. He shows us how ugly it was. He shows us how ugly it could be. Can't make up these cards, guys. You just can't do it. I love doing this work. You guys enjoy this? I enjoy this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Locally, around the world, I see some of you in here from Germany. I see some of you in here from Ireland. In Nebraska. Thanks, Nebraska. North Carolina. The Carolinas. I mentioned Memphis. I see some Tennessee people out here. Thank you very much. I see some Florida peeps out here. And go ahead and swallow this. Why don't I do a couple of reads and we'll get the heck out of here. Oh, Gigi, I'm glad that you are. Oh, by the way, I just want to check on my friend here. Is Tim still around? Is Tim still up here? Shut up and deal. Tim, it's the door's right over there. Just remember to bring all your testosterone and other bullshit that doesn't really work around here. Bay Area, California. Melissa, how do you feel? Melissa Griffith is showing up here talking about being in Northern California. I mean, is Kamala Harris like a favorite son? Excuse the expression, but you understand what I mean. Like, is she revered? Is she viewed at? I mean, those are the people I love to talk about. I love to talk to people that actually would know the difference. You know, if you ask me about Elise Stefanik, I will tell you that she once told somebody in Stewart's, well, someday you'll get a real job. I'm sorry, what? South Carolina, she's respected. Yeah, and listen, isn't that kind of what... Don't you think that that's why Joe got into office to begin with? And listen, are we recreating the same old wheel again? Don't think that I'm not on both sides here. Because I will straddle on this one. Don't you think that going back to the old way and a politician that's been a politician since he was 29 is progressive? Oh, and by the way, he's in his 80s now? Is that a solution? That was our best we could do? I think we missed a huge opportunity here to make changes that would have been progressive, but they didn't want to risk it because they were so afraid of him. You don't stay afraid of the bully. You just don't. You just don't. Bullies hate two things, right? First of all, bullies are defined by two things: the things they're afraid of and the things that they don't want to face. And then when you make them recognize that they have to face those things and that they can't control every situation, they're screwed. That is why they proceeded with all of those court cases, which, by the way, I'm sorry, Merrick Garland, not very good leadership. It took them so goddamn long to bring these charges. Of course, they ran out of runway. They ran out of runway, guys. Great idea. But here we are. The thing you should be really frightened with is that they're changing election laws in virtually every battleground state. Michigan. You've seen it in Texas. You've seen it in Nevada. You've seen it in Arizona. You've seen it in the Carolinas. You've seen it where basically what they say is that, oh no, we're going to make up our own map and nobody can do anything about it. And they pull the zip string and they basically say, oh no, you can't do this. Right? You can't change it once we put it in there. Well, it's, and these are, you know, you have a place like Michigan that is pretty much as evenly split as you can get. They are literally at 49%, 49.9% and 49.9%. Like, they cannot get any more split down the middle. But yet they have 15 of the 22 decision makers on drawing the candidate lines, basically the jurisdiction lines on that. So if there's 22, it should be 11-11, not 15-8, right? But that's the shit they're doing. 15-7, sorry, it's math. It's late in the day, right? And listen, if you're... Attack her policies. Attack Kamala Harris's policies. They should be. You know, I've done over 25,000 readings, and the first thing I say to somebody that's a skeptic to me is, my job isn't to convince you of this. My job is, I'm not a showman. I'm not necessarily somebody that has to, I don't need it for my ego. I don't need you to like me. I have a job to do. You want to find candidates that literally will walk in and say, I have an idea and I'm looking to execute it. You don't want somebody that comes in and as soon as they whisper in their ear, I have money for you, that they change their direction. Donald Trump has been a Republican, a Democrat, a Republican, a Democrat, an independent. He donated to Kamala Harris, Democrat, Republican, Republican, Democrat. He has changed his affiliation 9 times in the expediency of what he needed when he needed it. And you think he's a Republican now? He's using the same Shark Tank method that he's always used. He does not care about this country, and he does not understand what it is to be a citizen. Kamala Harris does. I don't agree with all her politics, guys. I actually think she's made some pretty tough mistakes. I'm going to call them tough along the way. And none of them have to do with anything personal or relationships. She dated Montel Williams, guys. I mean, come on. Back in the day? Just telling you. She should go through the same scrutiny that everybody else does. For this reason and this reason alone. This country matters too much. What's at stake matters too much. We got to get back to process. We have to get back to some level of decorum. What they're doing right now isn't decorum. It's emergency. Everything's chaos. And if they think that they're trying to play them in their game, they're going to one-up them. False flag is a real conversation, guys. Fight, fight, fight. Why don't we have boots on the ground in Ukraine? Elizabeth, well done. Oh, and by the way, I'll let this be the legacy that we're going to find out. By the way, we always seem to find out 30 to 50 years after what really went on. You know, JFK, we eventually got all of the gunmen. You know, we eventually, you know, you can go to the website, tbrandonruss.com, book your appointment with me. It takes a long time. It takes a while for us to figure out what happened to Jack Ruby and blah, blah, blah. 9/11, I hope we fully understand what had happened. And by the way, Liz Cheney is still one of the most interesting people on the planet to me because she is literally breaking her family ancestral wounds in lifetime with her father still being here. I don't agree with all of her politics, but I do appreciate her backbone. You know, the Kunzinger and what Kunzinger did, what Cheney did, what Mike Pence did. I don't agree with any other politics necessarily, but we wouldn't have a country right now if it wasn't for them. People that actually stood up to this crap. You don't get to make up the rules when you don't like the rules. You just don't. It's not how it works. And you mean to tell me he's never been punched in the face, but he gets up after getting grazed by a bullet? Somebody check his diaper. And by the way, he was not the only one that was wearing a diaper that day. I get it. I get it. You know I'm going to do a deep dive on Kamala's chart, right? You know I'm going to do this. Her Leo is in the 3rd house. Her 5th house is loaded with the sun and, So she's a Libra sun conjunct to Mercury, but Mercury, she's a late Libra, and it looks like, yeah, she's October 20th, so she's like on the last day. Her moon is a 27-degree Aries. 1 degree Scorpio for the Mercury, although pure conjunct, it is pure conjunct, they're within 4 degrees. Libra Sun and Mercury in Scorpio, that's kind of interesting to me. 21 degrees Mars with Leo. By the way, let's do a quick look at that. You know, we have Mars in Gemini right now. It's going to go Gemini, Cancer. Oh yeah, we're going to take a look at that. Oh, I'm going to have a good time. I'm trying to do this stuff on the fly a little bit, but you guys get me. You guys get me. I think one of the challenges that we really have with Kamala Harris is the process. To me, it's just the process that's been circumvented in a way where, I mean, and again, we're not using any of this. We are held to a higher standard. You will always find that the right side of history and the side that was like, whether it's right or wrong, whether they win or lose, that's not the thing. The people that are on the right side of history always stand up to try and do the right thing. Being in a position where we're saying, oh, the hell with the process. The hell with the process. We just care about, it's more important that she gets in there. It's more important that we beat Donald. It's more important that we've missed the point, guys. We have really missed the point. And by the way, she will turn 60 years old. 60. Just before the election. Not gonna lie, it's kind of sexy. I have a type. I can't. I'm sorry. Is this thing still on? And where was she born? She was born in Oakland, right? And I am pulling this up because these are the things. I mean, just come along with my brain for a little while. It's come along with my brain. Come along with my brain. And I'm going to put this forward a couple of months. And I'm going to go ahead and get this into the beginning of November. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's interesting. I think I got the date wrong. Hold on a second. Please hold. She's PM. Okay. I'm like, yeah, she's a Scorpio rising. Ooh. That would have changed things. Nope, I had the date wrong. I had the time wrong. Not the first time. If Penny's watching this, she's laughing, going, of course you got the date wrong, you asshole. Anyways, okay, now I think I got it. Yep, Gemini rising. So her son on oh, this is really good for her. Pay attention to Mars, everybody. By the way, her Mars is at 21 degrees and Trump's, her Mars is 21 degrees Leo. Donald Trump is a 29 degree Leo rising. Her Mars is conjunct to his rising. That's significant to me. Mars will have just moved into Leo the day of the election. Sorry, it's November 5th, right? So it's the day before. And she is a natal Mars and Leo. I'm still here. Are you guys good? Yeah, and the Saturn return would have happened for her earlier this year, or actually at the end of last year. Her Saturn, oh yeah, her Saturn return happened 2 years ago. 2 full years ago. She is an Aquarian. Yeah, no, she went through this about 9 months ago. At 28 degrees. Yeah, she has got no, but by the way, her structure, being a ninth house Saturn in Aquarius, 28 degrees. Now, let's not forget what we just went through with all the algal stuff, right? That means that she's going to be square to algal. Her Saturn is. at 28 to 29 degrees. Algo's 29 degrees, blah, 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 or 27 degrees, and then this is 28 degrees, et cetera, and all that other good stuff. So she's got to change. It's not going to surprise me when she's president, guys. By the way, I called it 4 years ago. I called it 4.5 years ago. Right? Oh, by the way, her favorite thing to do, one of her favorite pastimes, is buying record albums. I have quite the collection myself. She and I have so much in common. We have so much in common. Just a couple of other notes here. Lilith is also going to be conjunct with her Mercury in the 5th house. She's here to heal. She's here to heal. She was born on a full moon, a true full moon. Holy shit. Yeah, I remember how interesting she is. She's a true full moon. 27 degrees Libra. Her moon is 27 degrees Aries. Guess what? That is a true full, but everybody. She's Gemini rising at 26 degrees, and oh, by the way, so is her North Node at 24 degrees. At 24 degrees Taurus, which is conjunct, holy shit, which is, I'm doing the reading already, guys. Uranus is now conjunct to her Jupiter in the 12th house of Taurus. In other words, I don't mean to go all Hall and Oates on everybody, but you make my dreams come true. True. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, Saturn return happens at about 59 and a half, 50, between 58 and a half and 60. It's going to happen somewhere in there. So yeah, all right, guys. Listen, I've gone way long. I got to wrap up. I gotta head out of Dodge. I will do some more readings though down the road. I got off track here with the Kamala stuff. I'm going to do a quick video on that tomorrow. Stick around tomorrow. I may just jump on in the middle of the day. I got some things right in front of me. Earlier in the day. Good night, Gracie. I've got to head out to a group tomorrow night. A full weekend, but during the day I'm just kind of hanging out. Caroline, thank you so much. Elizabeth, always great to see you. Andre, yeah, I agree with you on the leadership thing. Connie, good to see you. Aaron, Judith, I know you guys were asking for some. Michelle, hope to see you soon. Melissa, thank you so much. Kathy, always great to see you as well. It's and Jesse, yeah. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Share this with a friend. Great, let people know what's going on over here. This is a different way to look at this energy. And it's a no-nonsense BS no BS kind of conversation. So we're going to need this moving forward. There's a lot of great readers out there. I'm thumbs up about it. Mindful Innovator. Go follow him, everybody. Jenny, good to see you. Yeah, check it. It'll probably be in the morning, late morning. Got some stuff to do and what have you, but I'll see you guys soon. All right, keep going. Hard taps, guys. See you soon.